So this is for the week beginning the 4th of February. So this week I did some research into what it was like as a woman in the 1960s, particularly within the entertainment industry, or our industry. Looking back after having showcase rehearsal with Layla, I decided against using my original idea of a wannabe journalist, just because I have no sphere of reference to that world. And when we were practicing the opening with Layla, she's told us it's all about how we are all coming to London to pursue our dreams. And that's something that I can personally relate to, just because I moved back to the UK at a young age to do musical theatre. And that was, scary, and that was scary and exciting. And so I think that's a feeling that I know and can draw from. And so I've decided that my character for the opening is going to be an aspiring singer. She loves Barbra Streisand and Ethel Merman and Judy Garland and all the big Broadway belters. And so this showed me that I should do some more research into what it's like to be a woman in this industry today, which is lucky because I'm really passionate about everything surrounding things like the Harvey Weinstein case and the former head of CBS and how it all ties in with the Me Too movement. And I think it's really important to be aware of movements like this within our industry if it's something we want to go into, and definitely helping me shape my character for the opening. Even though things obviously have gotten better since the 1960s, I think it's still something that we as women definitely struggle with. A lot of it's based on looks and what size you are, and still obviously in some cases what you're willing to do to get certain roles or jobs. And I think drawing from what I know of today and putting it into a character in the 1960s will help me, and I think that is a better fit for me rather than something I don't really know much about. Next week was the week beginning the 11th of February. I had a portfolio class on Thursday with Dan, and I found it really productive. I worked on a song with him. It wasn't actually my showcase song. It was my singing assessment song, which is Out There from Hunchback of Notre Dame. But we worked on really using the text and just simply thinking about what you're actually saying. Because for me, I know I can get caught up in the technical singing side of a song and worrying about what it sounds like and forgetting about the fact that the storytelling is actually the most important part. And I think being in that class and being almost kind of put on the spot, but in a positive way, because I was standing in front of the rest of my year group and the second years, kind of when Dan was asking me questions like, why are you saying this? What's making you say this? What do you mean by this? Just made me kind of give my first instinctual response, rather than overthinking it and being like, oh, is that the right answer? And I think by the end of it, I had a completely different song. And so I went away and applied that to my showcase song, because after my first couple of sessions with Carly, I was struggling with doing the subtext of the song, and I was trying to do a thought per line, and it just wasn't working for me. And so I chopped it up into sections. I started with the first verse and did just a word for each line, and then after that I cut it into sections and just really looked at the words and the text and thought, why am I saying this? What do I mean? And I think that's really helped me make more of a upwards arc, because I talked to Carly about how with this showcase song, because it's a cut and it's not within the context of the piece, we can't have a traditional story arc that might go up and down within the song. It kind of has to just go straight up for it to still be interesting. But I definitely, what I took away from portfolio class was really helpful, and I think it's helped me kind of make the song my own. Then the week beginning the 18th of February, because it was half term this week, I decided to do a bit more on research, and because we had to record If I Can Dream for the solos in the finale, and obviously that song is about is based on Martin Luther King's speech, and that's about, you know, the oppression of coloured people in America, and how he dreams that one day they'll have the same freedoms and rights as white people, and that's not something I can relate to because no one's ever really judged me on the colour of my skin that I'm aware of. But Marissa told us to think about how there are, you know, some things that we are discriminated on or prejudiced against in our lives. And for me, I definitely think that being a girl or a woman gives me a disadvantage, especially in this industry, just because the industry is oversaturated more with girls than boys, but not in the context of the performance industry. I decided to look into something that I'm quite passionate about and that I know was a big part of the women's movement in the 60s, which is reproductive rights and abortion rights. And because the contraceptive pill was became available in the early 60s for married women, and then later on in 1967 it was made available to everyone. Abortion was legalised in the 60s, and then obviously last year there was a big referendum in Ireland to decide whether they were going to repeal the 8th Amendment on their constitution and make abortions legal, and it went through. And I've got quite a few friends who are Irish, and I work with a girl who worked with quite a few MPs to try and get the referendum moving in Northern Ireland for those women to have the same rights because it's still illegal there. And I think that obviously things have gotten better since the 60s, but it's still an issue for lots of women around the world. And I definitely feel strongly about that. And I think that will be a good standing point for me, because I don't want to get to showcase and have agents think, oh, she's got a good voice and she can sing, but there's not really much going on with the storytelling. And I really enjoy research, so this is really helping me so far.